Hello again, everybody. Sebastian Keynes here with another Watch Our Realms video. In this one, I'm going to be discussing Xena, the new Infernal Blast hero that is being added to the game. She will actually make a nice addition to the Infernal team because they only technically really have the two fighters, Slither and Scourge, but you can see here, Emerald also counts into being part of the composition if you are able to form one. Now, let's go over her kit really quick because her kit is very unique. The way that you play her is very unique, and there are going to be possibly certain situations where I think that she will be coming in handy. Let's talk about her talent. When you first deploy her, her deployment cost is reduced by 6, and if you look at here, her deployment is actually 17, so it will be 11. So you need 11 deployment costs to put her down. She does have a 2 block, but that is really not coming into play because she won't be in the battlefield for too long, to be honest. Her deployment time is 60. There might be situations where you might want to bring in Volca so you can reduce this to 45. So, and why do I say that? Well, when you first deploy her, she will increase her attack by 20% and then all damage reduction that are applied by 30%. So that's great because she will deal a lot of damage, and she does it for 30 seconds. She can also inflict the burn on the targets that are hit, and like I said, her talent allows it to reduce the first deployment cost. The burn is going to be essential because she will deal an extra true damage equal to 30% of the hero's attack one time. Now, if you have multiple stacks of this, you would then compound this up to 60%. So she will deal a little bit more damage if you are able to then stack the burns, and there are heroes that can of course do that. One of them is in her faction and is primarily an eye. How much damage? Is a lot. 60% of true damage, it's a lot, especially if you can load her up with attack. The other passive is that when you come back and you redeploy her, she will gain an extra 15% damage, and this can stack up to 60%. Now, what situations are there going to be where you are going to need to bring her in up to 4 times? Not many right now in the game, but you never know with Muntan. There might be something that coming down the pipeline where this passive may be more integral than we give it credit for right now. As you can see, her basic attack is just the 1 tile. She deals 120% damage to one enemy, but really the one primary reason that you're going to want to bring her into the battlefield is because this long range damage area that she can do. She will, when you deploy her, again, increase her attack. Her crit damage goes up by 18%. Each attack then deals 150% damage to up to 5 enemies. Now, the less enemies there are on the field, you will then deal a little bit more damage, up to 300% to that particular unit. So, if you're going up against, like I'm going to show you, one target, the damage is going to be significant. But if you do many units, you're not going to see the big numbers, but at least you're going to be increasing the damage to that group that you're going to need to bring down. The skill can only be triggered 1 time. And so this is where I was saying that the passive here that allows her to gain more damage upon redeployment, this is where we're going to have to figure out where we're going to be bringing her in that many times. I think in some situations we'll bring her up 2 times, maybe 3, but I think that in some cases right now in the game, that will be the limit to her. But the reason that you're going to want to probably pull her back and then deploy her again, redeploy her later in the battle, is because her ultimate only lasts 25 seconds. And if you leave her, she will only be doing basic attacks. She's not going to rage regen. So there is no reason for you to keep her in the battlefield. Plop her down, do the damage, get her out. Okay. Now, all my testing has been done in an A0 Xena. Of course, she does have awakenings that give her a little bit more oomph to her, right? A little bit more power. So if you are able to manage an extra copy of her during the ultimate, the hero's attack deals an extra 90% to 180% damage based on how many number of targets are in that target area. Of course, her second one just gives her a little bit more base attack. The third one gives her unyielding. It behaves like Balarias. You won't be able to heal her, and if she takes that fatal hit, then after her ultimate is done, she will just come off. All right, but there are probably going to be the situation where you may want the cost, so just pull her back before she dies. But at least you'll have that ability to make sure that she does not die when her ultimate is active. A little bit more penetration with her Awaken 4, and then during her Awaken 5, she will actually be applying magic resistance reduction on the target enemy, at least each attack that she does. But again, that's only going to be during her ultimate. So that's fairly kind of the awakenings to her. It just gives her a little bit more survivability and adds a little bit more power to her. That's essentially what it does. And a debuff always helps to get her up to A5. Here's the build that I decided just to test her in. Essentially is the Infernal Roar here. Remember, you're only bringing her once. If you think that you're going to be making the rounds, maybe you can try a Solomon Arcana set, but I'd rather just use that on a unit that I know is going to be in the battle a little bit longer. And I'm going to probably use her ultimates more frequently. So for this testing here, it's just focusing on that burst damage. So I tried her out in the Infernal set. So I managed to get up to 222,000 attack and 341 critical damage. Rage region does not really matter. That's just the pieces that I have here. Speed, of course, if you can, just give it to her. This is just the pieces that I have here in the test server. They have rage region, they have a speed. So these are just complementary to her. I decided to do Realm of Tear. Just to test that, give her a little bit more damage ability for units that are further away from her. First of all, I just wanted to see how much damage she could do. So one of the first areas that I decided to bring her here is into Drake's Chasm, stage Nightmare 4. And so I just wanted to put her down, see how much damage she was going to be able to do on those hits that she does during her ultimate. So here it is. Her deployment cost is 11. So I'm going to place her down. And of course, I just wanted to get the Infernal Blast here out of the way. Now I'm going to put her down here. And then now I'm just looking for numbers. Just trying to get a general idea of how much you're hitting. 481,000. That is a lot of damage, especially for this boss. Here, there are no debuffs on him. She's applying the burn. So now we're getting a little bit additional damage. So she can definitely do some damage here. No question about that. All right, so let me now forward here, because I do, just for that particular period that her ult lasted, you can see here that just in that span there, almost 9,000 damage she was able to do. So now here, the next thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to complement her with somebody like an eye, just to make sure that she is able to stack up the burns and see how much more damage we can do. Remember, it does stop at 60% through damage. So if the number is bigger, hopefully is significant, but it shouldn't, it probably shouldn't, you shouldn't expect too much from it. So I'm going to give an eye a little bit of a chance here to try to gain some rage before I put Xena down. And now that I can see kind of her rage meter filled, I activate it. Now look, we have about 6 burns now being applied, and now I'm looking for numbers just to see how much it increased. Remember, it does cap, so now we're up to 498. Now you might not say, well, from 481 to 498 might not see a lot, but now keep thinking about that you are now doing multiple hits on this target. So eventually, during the lifespan of her ultimate, it will compound significantly. So again, I'm just letting things go. I'm going to let her ride until her ultimate is done, and then we'll look at the number and see how much it did rise due to her having those extra burns being applied to the enemy. And so here it is. The ult is over. Let's quit. And now Let me look to see what is going to go on. You can see here now we're almost up to 9.8. So 9,800K. So we just went from 9 to 9, so almost 8%. And that is big. That is really just adding those extra stack of burns that she was then able to do a little bit more damage. Now let me fast forward here because I am going to bring Scylla 2 into the fold here. I tried to kind of match similar numbers to what I had on Xena, and just kind of compare them to see how much damage they could do while their ultimates, at least during Xena's ultimates period. So here again, I'm just comparing. Now we all know what Scylla is capable of doing here in Guild Boss. Okay, she can definitely do a lot of damage, especially when we fully awaken her and we bring her in support. We invig her. We bring in somebody like Twinfin or Soul Cadence into it. We can just really buff up her damage. No question in that. So here you can see I'm just kind of timing things to see during that period of her ultimate how much in terms of damage she's doing in comparison to somebody like an AC or Scylla 2, and you can see the difference between the two. So you are going to get a lot of damage for the period of time that she is on the field for you, and you're going to possibly be even clearing things that you need to clear in terms of content in the game. Let's continue on. So if there is an area of the game right now where she would probably help you, will essentially be Gear Dungeon 2. And the reason I say that is because we have an instant here where the clones switch, right? Especially on the lower, and then once you get to 9 and 10, it'll also switch on the top. But here in the middle stages, we do have this instance where this the flesh clone will switch to the spirit clone and vice versa, and so we need to swap fighters or anybody that is doing damage to that particular clone, because if you remember, the flesh clone will heal if you deal physical damage, the spirit clone will heal if you deal magic damage. So one of the caveats that I will tell you though, that just take an example of how you're going to be able to use her here. So here we have the flesh clone. And so what I was going to show you here is that I wanted to see if we bring her in. So here we have Scylla 2. So I'm just going to bring her in to do damage, right? And so as you can see here, when Scylla 2's ultimate gets activated, she is going to be hitting for about 266. So based on the build that I gave her. So now I'm going to retrieve. Now, here's the thing. Remember, Xena, I'm going to deploy her. Right away, her ultimate is going to be activated. It's 3 tiles long. So you can see here, it's activated. And then one shot, she was able to finish her up. So let me retrieve. Let me get back, retrieve that again. So she is here at half health. Again, ultimate gets activated, 490,000 hit, wiped out. So this is an area of the game where she is going to be clearly useful when it comes to Gear Dungeon 2 and trying to get rid of those clones as soon as you can before they go ahead and burst. Now, before I go on to the other area of the game where I was able to test her and just show her where you might be able to use her if you do summon her, the one thing, if you were an astute viewer and you saw me place her in Gear Dungeon 2 here in the test server, is that you saw that she actually did damage to the red clone, the flesh clone. The one that is supposed to get healed if she takes physical damage. Right now, she is labeled as a normal damage type. So she should have been healing that red clone. That is something that as of right now, as the video is being published, I am trying to get clarification if that is exactly how it's supposed to be working. If she is not, then there might be a fix. And then you may want to use her then if it is a bug. If it's not working as intended, then you want to use her against the purple clone, just like you would use Arrogance, for example, because Silitu is magic. So you saw that she did damage to the red clone. I wasn't expecting her to do damage to the red clone. As in fact, I was surprised that she was healing the purple clone. So if you were astute enough to pick that up, I give you kudos, and that is why I paused the demonstration, just to make that point clear. I will find out from the developers if that is the case currently, that Xena is either working or not as intended in this dungeon. Okay, the other area of the game where I think that she is going to come in handy will actually be the new AMR stages, more specifically 19 and 21, because that is the fighter defender stage where you're going to need fighters that do AoE damage, they do hit multiple units, that they have long ranges. So that is primarily what you want to bring into this particular stage of AMR. You can kind of see me here kind of setting things up in using one of my favorite heroes for this dungeon, which is going to be Magnus. And I'm going to try to actually start setting up things for Xena to clear things out for me where I need her to. Okay, so here comes all these minions that came out of him, out of the boss. He sacrifices his health for it. Now, here he goes. Now, look at how much damage she's doing against these units and how fast she's going to be able to clear them out. So she has some decent HP, and I didn't really need a tank for it, and she just wiped them out. Magnus is still trying to do his thing with his side, and he'll eventually do it. But now that that is done, I'm going to recall her, and now I'm going to get ready for the next wave, okay? So that's essentially what I did here. We can kind of fast forward a little bit, unless this is new enough for everybody that wants to see it, just to see how things are getting clear. So here now I'm going to bring in somebody that has a long range again with a tank to make sure that they can clear this very well. So that's essentially what's going on there. Now let me fast forward a little bit just to kind of get a general idea. So they're just clearing all these waves here, and we need to manage to try to eliminate them before the boss does his lightning move. Otherwise, these guys detonate and they do deal a lot of damage. Your fighters might be able to sustain it, may not be able to sustain. Your tanks, they could if you build them tanky enough, or they have shields, then you should be able to do it, and then have your next set here ready to go. Now that we've cleared this, we still got one more wave in this. So here is one of those things that you could pull somebody like Cardia out and then put Xena in once this wave comes in. But what I decided to do is I am going to actually save her for the boss at the last step, because that's what we need to do. Once we clear this wave here, the boss will start walking towards the core, and we need to take him down. So instead of having Magnus deal with him, because he's not going to be able to take the hit, I'm going to bring in Xena in, and hopefully she can do the damage that I need her to do to bring him down. So right now, everybody's just holding the fort. We're trying to get everything down out of the way, waiting for the boss to walk towards us. And so that's essentially what we're going to do. He does his smash, and he should start walking towards us here. There we go. All right, so I'm going to start pulling people back. Magnus goes, and I'm going to time Xena here. Now, remember, he only has that little bit of health left from all the sacrificial rituals that he did. And here we go. Take down the boss there, Xena. There, she took one hit. She's fine. And done. So that's essentially what she can do for you if you need to bring her in these type of situations. So these are two areas of the game where I think that she is going to be very effective in, and is going to help you try to clear these levels when you are ready. Go ahead and battle them. To summarize, This was actually a fun hero to play around with. She does a lot of damage. Even for the short period that she's in, she is going to be unique in her usage. And this is what I like about the games, is that some heroes have utilities different from all the other ones. Not everybody is the same. So if you get her into your account, I would not say that you should be disappointed by it. She is a nice hero. She'll be somebody that you can play around with, that you can bring in and out in certain situations. You just have to make sure that you form the proper composition around, so you can kind of sustain the battle while she's not on the field. And if you have Volca, then it just gives you a little bit of opportunity to reduce the deployment cost in case you have waves coming persistently at you. Now, we do not know what other game content there will be where she will actually be one that we could bring up to 4 times. Okay, so always keep that in mind, that sometimes Moonton gives us the heroes ahead of time before that content is released. But like I told you, we have the new AMR stages coming. We already have geared dungeons. 2, maybe 3 and 4 are still coming into the game. So she definitely can clear a clone. She can definitely clear those waves in AMR. So that's where I would primarily use her if I were to get her in my account and want to form an Infernal team around her. But do remember that at least for AMR 19, there's only one platform, so you're not going to be able to use a Soul Cadence or a Twin Fin to try to help her out. So she's pretty much going to be on her own in that regard. But as you can see, as you saw, she doesn't really need the faction lords to do the damage that she can do. So if you get her, congratulations. She's a very nice hero. I think that you'll be able to have fun with her. And if you give her the awakenings, you know, she'll get more damage, and she gathers unyielding, just like Valoraya currently has. So great hero. I really like her. I wouldn't mind her having in my account. And you should not be disappointed if you do summon her. Thank you all very much for tuning in and watching. Please do remember to hit like and subscribe if you do appreciate the content of this video. And I will see you all in the next Watch Our Romps video.